Hi, I'm Sharon and I'm 26 years old. When you reach this age, things start happening around you, just like they did for me. I was about to marry the most amazing man I had ever met. Craig was everything I ever wanted and more. We met on a boating trip. I was with some friends, and he was there for a business meeting in Maryland. I wouldn't call it love at first sight because it wasn't. In fact, during our relationship, we went through many phases before realizing we were meant for each other. My family adores Craig. My mom and dad treat him like their own son, and even the family dog gets more excited to see him than me. I met Craig's mom, Mayla, and his dad, Kevin, a few months after we decided to get married, and we all instantly got along. Mayla is the sweetest lady and reminds me of my mom, while Kevin is laid back and always making jokes. They're not always funny, but we laugh anyway. I was in love with Craig and his family, but this was before I met Natasha, Craig's older sister. One day during a family lunch, Mila mentioned Natasha. "So, your sister's coming to town next week. Are you two going to pick her up at the airport? I think this is a good time to introduce your fiancé to the other woman who helped raise you." Craig laughed while eating some toast. Pulling my hair, eating half my food, and taking my toys, that's what I call raising me, Mom. The whole table laughed as we enjoyed our meal. After meeting Kevin, I started to see how Craig had picked up his dad's humor. Both of them could crack a good joke every now and then. I thought, well, now I have to wait a week until Craig says something really funny. Hey, it's all part of having a sibling, right? Speaking of which, Sharon, you have one. A sibling, I mean? Oh no, I'm an only child. I did have a few dogs and cats growing up though. Does that count? Of course. My kids scratched and screamed at each other growing up, so I'd say our experiences were the same, Kevin joked, and we all giggled. I felt so at ease around Craig's family, it was almost too comfortable, but thanks to Natasha, things were about to change. Natasha had moved to New York after college. Craig told me his sister could be a bit overprotective, but he said I shouldn't worry. He expected us to get along just as well as I had with the rest of the family. Craig is half Hungarian on his mom's side, but while he hadn't picked up much of the culture Natasha had, the family would try not to speak Hungarian around me because they knew I wouldn't understand, but what they didn't know is that I'm a linguist. While that doesn't mean I can learn languages instantly, it does help. Craig had taught me a few phrases, and I took the initiative to learn more on my own. There are so many websites to help with that these days, so now I can use Hungarian conversationally, though I plan to wait until I was more confident. When are you two getting married? Natasha asked in Hungarian as soon as we were in the car. Seriously, you just met her 5 minutes ago, and she's sitting right next to me. You already forgot her name? Come on, just tell me already. I'm not going to ask her. I could only understand bits and pieces of the conversation. Natasha's accent was different from Mayla's, probably because she was raised here. Sharon, Natasha's asking about the wedding. She wants to know the date so she can make arrangements at work. Oh, of course. We don't have a fixed date yet, but it's going to be in March, so 3 months from now. I think that's plenty of time for you to get a few days off from work beforehand. Don't worry. Oh, all right. That's a relief. I thought it would be much sooner. Why did she seem so relieved when the wedding was months away? Let's keep talking in English, yeah, Nat. We're still working on Sharon's Hungarian, so it's going to take a while. This is already tough. She whispered something in Hungarian before saying that, and this time I understood. I was feeling a bit intimidated by her. It wasn't going as smoothly as it had with his parents, but I reminded myself that not everyone likes you right away. I was sure we would get along with some effort. A few days passed, and I wasn't always at Craig's place, so our interactions were minimal. Whenever I did go there, Natasha would find an excuse to go out, whether it was shopping or going to the movies with friends. I could see the annoyance on Kevin and Mila's faces. One time when I showed up, Kevin said, "You better not be leaving us today, Nat. You've watched enough films for the week. Spend some time with Sharon and your brother this afternoon." Natasha rolled her eyes and said, "Oh my God, not this again. I've met her and we've talked. Do I really have to keep doing it? I don't want to get to know her. I already know enough people. She looks like every other girl. I've met her already, so I don't see the big deal." Natasha, English please. This is the 6th time this week. Okay, I won't be gone long. I'll come back and spend plenty of time with both of you, I promise. Sharon, oh, that's okay. I hope you do come back though. I'd really love to know more about you and your work and everything. Me too. It's just that my friends keep making plans, and since I haven't been home in a while, they're being very stubborn. You must have friends, right? You understand. What if she doesn't? What if she wants you to stay but is too nice to say it? I thought we were speaking in English, ma. Seriously, what did I just say? It's okay, guys, don't stress about it because of me. I'm learning Hungarian anyway, so maybe you won't have to switch to English for me. How lovely. Anyway, I'll be right back for lunch, or else Mama Bear here will fry me like a fish for dinner. Bye now, see you all soon. And then she left to hang out with her friends again. I found it interesting that she stayed in touch with her friends even after moving so far away. I guess they must have grown up together. I didn't expect her to keep her promise and join us for lunch, but to my surprise, she showed up right on time. She looked annoyed to be there. Like she'd much rather be with those friends she kept talking about. I guess she finally gave in. We talked about how their home had changed over the years and how Kevin's jokes had gotten a bit lamer. It was all fun. Then I decided to ask Natasha what she did in New York. So Matt, what do you do in New York? I'm an interior designer. I've designed some of the best places out there. I keep asking these two oldies to let me redesign this old house, but they never listen. I was hoping you'd knock some sense into them. This is the house you grew up in. It's beautiful the way it is. Come on, Sharon, help me out here. I mean, those weird beige couches are killing me. I actually like it here. Those couches are comfortable too. Of course, she takes their side. She's just trying to be the good girl to get them to like her. Typical. You really have to stop talking about my fiancé like that. What's your problem, Matt? I have no problem. What are you talking about? Is everything okay? Did I say something wrong? Oh, of course you didn't, honey. We were just talking about how the house looks kind of ugly. It's just my opinion though. Your fiancé isn't very keen on it. Hey Nat, that reminds me, you didn't tell me what Rye was up to. Why isn't he joining us? Dad, I told you he was busy. He really wanted to come and see Sharon and Craig, but he couldn't find the time. He'll be free soon, and I'll drag him here the next time I come back. I think he prefers it here anyway. Oh, I'd love to meet him. When did you guys get married? Oh, it feels like ages ago, sweetie, but it was just 2 years back. I was designing his new home, and our eyes just met. We got married 6 months later. Wow, that's beautiful. Please bring him around next time. Yes, of course. Natasha just smiled brightly, and everyone went back to eating. It was pretty awkward after that. The conversation switched to other things like the wedding, the venues, the number of guests, and all that, but Natasha didn't show any interest in any of it. She just ate quietly. I wondered if their family dinners were always like this, but who am I kidding? I knew it was me. My Hungarian had improved enough to know that Natasha didn't really like me much. She thought I was just trying to impress Kevin and Mila so they'd like me, and don't get me wrong, I did want them to be happy with me, but I wasn't going to go out of my way to make that happen. My opinions were and always will be my own, but it seemed like Natasha had made up her mind about me the moment she met us at the airport. The more time I spent around her, the more I started catching unpleasant phrases in Hungarian. She would talk to her friend on the phone and say things like, I don't know why my idiot brother is marrying this girl. What does he even see in her? She doesn't do or say anything interesting and she has no idea how to speak Hungarian. She'd have more frequent conversations on her phone when we were all together, like she always preferred talking to someone else. Sometimes her phone would ring late at night, and she'd be on the call for hours. I assumed it was her husband. She used her words like a sword so often that it pushed me to work even harder on my Hungarian. I felt like I needed to be less meek and stand up for myself a bit more. I wasn't going to just sit there and let Natasha insult me in her language whenever she felt like it, so I became determined. After spending a few days with us, Natasha went back to New York. During that time, I doubled my efforts to learn Hungarian. I was an assistant professor at the university, and even though my subject was linguistics, one of my colleagues, Jenna, was a master in many languages. Hungarian just happened to be one of them. I decided to meet her after hours and talk about my situation. So, as you know, my fiancé is half Hungarian, and like they say, Jenna, knowing someone's language is one step closer to knowing their heart. Not to be cheesy, but I've been trying hard to learn the language. I know a little now, but you're the master. Do you think you could help? Well, I suppose I could. Tell you what, Buy me a sandwich for lunch, and I'll let you attend my elementary Hungarian classes for a while. It should be enough to help you catch on to the grammar. That sounds perfect. But you can't attend the whole semester since you're not a student. Attend a few initial classes with the new batch, and I'll help you in private later on. Also, I know you're doing this for your fiancé, sweetie, but are you sure about it? Hungarian is a difficult language to learn. Aren't all languages difficult? I think with enough determination, I can at least become a better conversationalist. A lot of effort also falls on you whenever I ask. Don't worry, I won't mind. Ask as often as you like. Thank you. Oh, I see someone's been working on it, huh? Impressive. Come on, let's go. I'm getting hungry. She laughed, and the two of us headed to the nearest cafeteria. Everything was going smoothly. I knew learning a foreign language was going to be tough, especially since I had to balance it with my work, family, and other commitments. But I was determined. I wanted to be part of this family, and learning the language was a big step toward that. Plus, getting back at Natasha a little bit would be worth it. The next week I started attending Jenna's lectures. She was so good with the language that I could have mistaken her for a native speaker. Her accent was spot on. Since I wasn't going to get more than a month of learning, I made sure to take notes whenever possible. She would always check in with me after each lecture, and I don't think I could have found a better teacher. Meanwhile, Natasha returned a month later. By then, my Hungarian had improved a lot, but I kept it a secret from Craig and the rest of the family. I wanted to surprise everyone by joining in on a conversation out of nowhere, but something happened that stopped me in my tracks. Hello, darling. Oh, how I've missed you. I know the last time wasn't long enough, but here we are again. What do you mean I'll disappear again? I'll come back to you in no time, I promise. Natasha was on the phone again. The family was outside for a barbecue dinner. The three of them were setting the table and firing up the grill, while I had gone inside to get some plates and other things. I'd already told you I'm here to attend my brother's stupid wedding. He's getting married to this boring-looking high school teacher or something. I don't even know why. But forget about them, this is all about us. Do you even know how much I love you? If it wasn't for constantly moving around, I'd never leave your side. Oh boy, it seemed like she really missed her husband Rai. I felt a little bad for eavesdropping, so I quickly grabbed the plates and slipped away. But I was glad that I was able to understand almost everything she was saying, even with her unique accent. We set up the table, and the food was quickly prepared. There's nothing like a hot, delicious dinner for everyone to enjoy. So, have you been busy with all day, Nat? Rai misses you that much? Of course he does, Dad. He's my husband, she replied as soon as we sat down to eat. Oh, I was wondering, does Rai speak Hungarian too? You must have taught him. Oh, I wish, darling. He's a bit dense and already speaks 2 languages. I think his head is rather full at this point to overload it. Yeah, that guy, smarter than anyone in the room but doesn't get a single word of Hungarian. It's so odd, but it's okay. We don't force it on anyone. Wait a second, if Rai doesn't speak a word of Hungarian, then who was Natasha talking to? I let the thought sink in. I knew I had to dig a bit deeper before jumping to conclusions. So I asked, is Rai going to join us anytime soon? Didn't you say you'd bring him home this time? No, unfortunately, he's left the country for a while for some business in Texas, but he said he'll try to swing by on his way to New York. Nat, the wedding is next week. I don't know about you, but I need him to be here. That's an order from the father of the bride. Chill out, Dad. He'll be here, I promise. Okay, fine, he better be. At that moment, I felt like showing off my Hungarian skills, but I kept quiet. Rai was away on a business trip, and Natasha rarely spent time with us whenever she was home. She was always talking to someone in perfect Hungarian. Something didn't feel right about the whole situation. After all, where did she go all the time? Surely her friends had work to do, so who was she spending so much time with? I needed to dig a bit deeper. A few days passed, and Natasha's behavior became more aggressive. My mother-in-law and I were going dress shopping with some friends. Natasha looked uninterested, but Mila dragged her along anyway. I wasn't too keen on having her there, but I couldn't say no to my mother-in-law. We found the perfect white dress, which felt just right for the wedding. I still remember what Natasha mumbled when I tried it on. There's no way I've been dragged all the way here just for this woman to pick that dress. It's completely classless and not even worth pennies. Sorry, what was that, Nat? I didn't quite catch you. I said it looks so beautiful on you, I could cry. It reminded me of my wedding. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Oh, someone's been practicing. 2 words and you're proud? It'll take you 2 years to make a sentence at this pace. I just smiled at her as if I didn't know what she was saying. The days kept rolling by, and the wedding day was getting closer. One day, I was cleaning up at home by myself. Kevin and Craig had gone out to buy something, and we ladies were alone in the house. Natasha had just received a package from someone. It looked like a gift. I was cleaning around anyway, so I decided to walk over to the hall right outside her room. She was already on the phone, screaming in excitement. Oh my God, you didn't? This dress is so pretty, and you remembered my size and my colors, Sergio. My dense husband could never. Wait, who's Sergio? Is Natasha having an affair? I didn't want to think about this possibility. In fact, I hoped my suspicions were wrong, but the more I heard her talk, the more real it became for me. I won't go into all the details, but it seemed like they met right here, years before she got married. Poor Ray has no idea, does he? Even the family seems clueless. However, I didn't expect to let it all out so easily when she spoke up about me at my wedding. The day arrived and the ceremony gave me butterflies. Craig and I were finally united, but it was the after party that was the highlight of the evening. Natasha had invited her friends over, and some of the family's cousins were there too. Ray had flown in from Texas for the wedding, and he seemed like a great guy, but Natasha barely paid any attention to him. She looked like she had something to drink because she was louder than usual, laughing and giving me bold looks. I couldn't hear what she was saying because this was my moment. I didn't want to pay attention to her, but then it happened. She said something like, "I'm so done with this whole wedding. Honestly, I'm just here to drink and look prettier than the bride. I give this marriage tops a year before my brother gets bored of her, like a dog with a dirty bone. Mark my words." And that was it. Something inside me snapped. When everyone was at the table, I lifted a glass and tapped it with a spoon to make a toast. That's when I let out all the Hungarian I'd practiced for so long. Even Jenna was at the table, and I knew I had to impress her. So, as you all know, I've been practicing my Hungarian for a while now. Today, I can proudly give a speech without stumbling, all thanks to my teacher Jenna. Thank you, Jenna. But today isn't about you or me, it's about Craig and his family. I've loved everyone so much. Mila, Kevin, oh, and my dear Natasha. I thought Natasha was the perfect sister to my Craig, but you know, maybe that's why I was so disappointed in her. Disappointed? Can you speak in English so we all understand, please? Oh, I'm sure Natasha will fill you in, Ray. Anyway, a few weeks have passed now, and I can't keep this in anymore. Nat, I'm so sorry for you and Ray, but whatever you've been through, I don't think cheating on such a good man is the right thing to do. Could you please put down that glass and tell everyone who Sergio is? Natasha's jaw dropped, her eyes wide open as the blood drained from her face. She stuttered as she tried to speak. What are you talking about, you insane woman? I'm sorry, is it too difficult for you to get in Hungarian, with all the wine you've had today? Let me put it simply, Sergio. He's your secret lover, isn't he, Nat? He gave you that beautiful dress you've been talking about on the phone all this time. Honey, what is going on right now? Ask your sister. She's the one who's been cheating on Ray for so long. How long exactly, Nat? Care to tell us in either of the 2 languages? The whole dinner table fell silent. Natasha was getting all sorts of looks from everyone. Ray looked like he was in complete disbelief. It was as if someone had dropped a bomb in the middle of the room. Is this true? Ray asked. Natasha didn't say a word. Tears began rolling down her face as she slammed her glass on the table and ran off. Ray just sat there, shell-shocked by everything. The table was silent for a while until I announced it was time to hit the dance floor. Soon, everyone decided to deal with the awkwardness later and danced a few steps with their partners and dates. Ray and Natasha disappeared from the wedding. A few months later, their divorce came through quite unexpectedly. I never heard from Natasha again, and she never came back home. Mila and Kevin were quite disappointed in her for what she did, and it was awkward between us for a while. But they appreciated that I exposed her sooner rather than later. Either way, that look of sheer fright and anguish on her face was worth it. I don't think she'll ever find a man as good as Ray again. Good riddance to her for sure.